Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2013 annual East Georgia State College Convocation. This is a reminder that mobile phones should be turned off or at the very least placed in silent mode. Put them away. It's always harder to pick them up if they're in your pocket. Please do not use these mobile devices during the convocation. Rather, listen and reflect what is being said. Turning off your cell phone is just one aspect of proper decorum in a public event. Please do not talk during this presentation. You will have an opportunity at the end to ask questions. Be attentive to what is said and enjoy and gain insight from those that do the presentation. At this point, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? Please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing. A moment of silence is an expression of silent reflection, a gesture of respect for those who have died recently or are part of a national historical event, a tragic historical event. We would like to reflect upon the tragedy and the mounting loss of life in the 4-day shooting rampage in the Kenya Mall. And much closer to home, the loss of 13 lives at the Navy Yard shooting on September 16th. Would you join me in a moment of silence to reflect upon those events? Thank you. You may be seated. It is my pleasure to present Dr. Robert Bomer, President of East Georgia State College, for the official welcome to these proceedings. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy the convocation.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Goodman, and thank you to all the members of the Planning Committee who've worked so hard to make this event possible. This assembly, our academic convocation, sets the academic theme and tone for the coming year. That theme is educating, graduating, and serving our communities. Students, that tone is our confidence that you will do exactly that. Graduate and give back to your community. And our commitment to do everything possible to make that happen. Today, many of us are gathering in this auditorium, the Luck Flanders Gambrell Center on the Swainsboro campus. This auditorium has been the location of so many special events for the college, graduations, and most importantly, the Vision Series lectures by notable individuals such as Maya Angelou. The tradition continues today. We are honored today by the presence of University System of Georgia Chancellor Hank Huckabee, his wife Amy, and our keynote speaker, Mr. Michael Thurmond. In addition to all of us at Swainsboro, students, faculty, and staff join us today by webcast from classrooms in our campuses in Statesboro and Augusta. All three of these locations are one academic and intellectual community. I hope that all of you with us in Swainsboro today will stop in the hallway at the back of the auditorium as you leave and enjoy the new mural. You will recognize faces from our own academic community as well as faces of the gifted performers and lecturers who have visited here in the past. You'll see photos of President Jimmy Carter, Ambassador Andrew Young, and so many others. Today's gathering reinstitutes an extremely important tradition of the college, the annual academic convocation. All over the country, colleges and universities bring the academic community together at the beginning of fall semester to welcome new members of the community and establish a theme for the year. Students, again, this year our academic theme is educating, graduating, and serving your community. It focuses on the importance of your own graduation from East Georgia State College, followed by a lifetime of service to your community. Students, you need to do this for your own economic success and happiness. Georgia needs you to do this in order to maintain its economic and social climate. This year's academic convocation is not going to be the last one. This is an important event, and it will grow and continue in the future. Chancellor Huckabee is uniquely suited to kick off this event. Students, the Chancellor's academic experience began much like your own. He grew up in Georgia and earned his first degree, an associate's degree in political science from Young Harris College right here in Georgia. This led him, much as we hope an associate's degree from East Georgia State College will lead you, to a bachelor's degree and then a master's degree from Georgia State University. And then more graduate work at the University of Georgia. In other words, his associate's degree led him to a lifetime of commitment to education. It also led the Chancellor to a lifetime of service and professional success. This includes teaching at colleges and universities, serving at top levels in state government. The Chancellor served as the Director of the Office of Planning and Budget for Georgia. It led to elected office. The Chancellor served in the Georgia House of Representatives, and it ultimately led to his appointment as Chancellor of the University System of Georgia. Now, at this point in time, before I invite the Chancellor to come to the podium, I could list for you many more specific accomplishments and offices held by the Chancellor. But I think what is most important for me to say to you students right now is that there's a common thread running through all of those positions and accomplishment. That is the fact that the Chancellor exemplifies the highest level of integrity in all of his decisions. Students, if you hear one thing today, please understand that I hope and I trust that you will emulate that integrity throughout your careers, and will now join me in warmly welcoming Chancellor Hank Huckabee to this academic convocation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Bob, for that overly generous introduction. Really the great joy and great pleasure is for me to be here. I appreciate the invitation. No matter how old I get, to me on a college campus, the beginning of a new academic year and the conclusion of an academic year with commencement is always exciting and exhilarating. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited about what you as students can do here if you make the commitment to do so. I appreciate Bob mentioning that the first part of my academic career was at a junior college. It was much smaller than East Georgia College up in the northeast mountains of Georgia. But I heard often from there, I can still remember having conversations with Zell Miller's mother, who was an interesting person along. And it was her theme, and it was a theme sounded by her husband, her son Zell, later in his career. That from young Harris, if you study hard, apply yourself, do well, you can get to anywhere that you want to go from young Harris. That would be my theme to you and challenge to you. If you do well here, if you apply yourself, you can go anywhere you want to go, from Swainsboro or Statesboro or Augusta. So this is an exciting time. We will be formally investing Bob Bomer as the president of the college. He's just been pretending up until now. But I look forward to that occasion. But this is a great time on a college campus. I won't make a speech. I was told not to make a speech. I'm here to welcome you. You're welcome. I'm glad you're here. Not only students and faculty, but members of the community as well. But I want to say one of the things I spend a lot of my time doing is trying to dispel some of the notion that's waving across the country. And that is a group of folks who are saying that education may not be what it's cracked up to be. That the post-secondary education may be too costly. Even more so, it may be irrelevant. And maybe you can reconsider going to education beyond high school. Let me tell you, that's a siren song. That's a big lie. I would encourage you, none of you, to listen to it because it will lead you to a dead end. You don't have to take my word for it. There's plenty of research. There's plenty of analysis been done. You not only will do much better economically, but you'll be a better citizen, you'll be a better parent, you'll be a better part of the civic community. So stay committed to what you started here, and I assure you as you go forward, you will never regret your efforts to obtain education and training beyond high school. Let me digress one moment as I conclude, because I may not have this many faculty and staff before me. One of my great concerns as we go forward, that we do not express our gratitude enough to the faculty and staff of all of our institutions who have not had a pay raise in 5 years. I told the board at our last meeting that those are the people that are really our heroes, because they've kept the faith, even though in the face of too low wages, in the face of increasing costs in so many ways, they have made possible what we attempt to do every day in the university system of Georgia. So those of you here on the faculty and staff, thank you. We're trying to round up the cavalry and come charging in the next session and hope we'll have better news. But let me conclude my welcome on behalf of the university system, the Board of Regents. Thank you for being here. We look forward to watching your success in the days and years ahead. And I look forward to tomorrow. I hope many of you can be there. Have a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning once again. My name's Austin Fultz, and I'm the Student Government Association President here at East Georgia State College. It is my honor and my privilege today to introduce to you all our guest speaker, Mr. Michael L. Thurman. And to start off, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Mr. Michael Thurman. Mr. Michael Thurman is currently the interim superintendent of DeKalb County School District. Mr. Thurman was raised as a sharecropper son in Clark County, Georgia. He graduated cum laude with BA in philosophy and religion from Payne College and later earned a Juris Doctorate degree from the University of South Carolina School of Law. In 1986, he became the first African American elected to the Georgia General Assembly from Clark County since Reconstruction. During his legislative tenure, Mr. Thurman authored major legislation that has proved to have provided more than $250 million in tax relief to Georgia's senior citizens and working families. Following his legislative service, Mr. Thurman was called to lead the State Division of Family and Children's Services and to direct Georgia's historic transition from work to welfare. In 1998, he was elected Georgia Labor Commissioner, becoming the first non-incumbent African American to be elected to the statewide office in Georgia. Mr. Thurman is a man of many great accomplishments, though Mr. Thurman's most gratifying accomplishment is as a public official, and this is when he constructed a $20 million school for young people with disabilities at the historic Roosevelt Institute in Warm Springs, Georgia. It is again my honor and my privilege today to introduce to you our guest speaker, Mr. Michael Thurman.
Good morning. First, I want to thank your SGA president for the kind words of introduction, but also I want to thank him for his leadership and determination. So let's give your SGA president a round of applause. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Also delighted to be with a man, our Chancellor Huckabee, who is doing an outstanding job of leading the university system of Georgia. We met many years ago at the University of Georgia. He's one of the most respected public minds as it relates to public finance, not just in Georgia, but all across this nation. And he's doing an excellent job leading our university system. And it's so good to be with Mr. Huckabee and to see Mrs. Huckabee again as well. Also in the audience is a longtime friend. We served together way back in the 20th century in the Georgia General Assembly. Butch Perry, where is Butch? Stand up. I got to ask him to stand up, Representative Harris. He is, and you know, because I served with him in the legislature and as a statewide elected official, I've been here to Swainsboro begging for votes. And one of the things you have to do if you're going to get elected statewide is stop by the drugstore, buy a Coca-Cola, and eat some peanuts with Butch Parrish. That's what you just got to do. And I've done it on more than one occasion. And I've also been here to the Pine Tree Festival. Give me a hand. Come on now. Come on, give me a hand. And President Bowman, and y'all got to get the president out once he gets officially installed. One day I came down here during a campaign to see the mayor. I don't remember the mayor's name, but he happened to be up in the little stand, right? And he said, if you want my vote, you got to come up and get it. Well, going up wasn't the problem. It was coming down that caused it. So I think we called the fire department and I made it safely. But President Bowman, thank you so much for the invitation. And First Lady Bowman, thank you so much. I met her as well as your lovely daughters. And I am so proud that the Chancellor and the Board of Regents selected this man to lead this great college at this time. Our paths have crossed back in Athens, Georgia, and he is the right man at the right time for the right job. So let's give our president another round of applause. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. Thank you. And it's just great to be back here at East Georgia State College. From my last visit, I was provided a East Georgia State College Bobcat baseball cap that I still wear very proudly. And now I want, if you don't mind, Mr. President, at least a jersey of the reigning state champ Bobcat basketball team. And I want our basketball team to stand up. I know some of you all are here. Basketball players, stand up. Let me see who you are. Let's give them another round of applause. State champions. See, and congratulations also for all of you who made the right choice to pursue a higher education here at East Georgia State College on a school that has one of the most beautiful campuses anywhere in this state and in this nation. You made the right choice. And as I always tell young people, you know, you could have been doing so many other things, but you are making the sacrifice. You have the vision to pursue the education that will provide great dividends for you and for your family in the future. I want to talk to you a little bit about leadership. Leadership is so important, particularly in the 21st century. And leadership is really a calling. And we often think about leaders who appear on TV or as a chancellor in the AJC and other places on a continuing basis. But I submit to you that each and every one of you are now holding a very critical leadership position. It's a leadership position similar to what Austin has, but more important, you are now a leader, not just at this college, but you are a leader in your communities. You're a leader for your younger brothers and sisters. You're a leader for your colleagues, and you are a leader in this state. You know, when I went off to college years ago, and when I came home, I was surprised that the youngsters, my younger nieces and nephews, looked up to me simply because I had enrolled at a college or a university. When you go home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, don't you kind of think, especially when your mother cooks you just a special pie or cake? I will applaud. Come on, you know that. Because they are so proud of you. They are proud of you because as young people, you said no to violence, no to those who have no hope, and yes to opportunity. So your leadership role is one that you have answered the call to. And sometimes you're called in a leadership position that you had no expectation. I was introduced as the interim superintendent of the DeKalb County Schools, and it's an interesting school district in the suburbs of Atlanta. We have 100,000 students in DeKalb, 21 high schools. And one morning, about 8 months ago, I received a call. And I received a call, Mr. President, and it was simply, would you like to be the new superintendent in DeKalb County? Now, I should have been thrilled, but I also have been reading the newspapers and watching TV for the last 6 months. And the DeKalb County School District was in a crisis. Our accrediting agency had placed the district on accredited probation. We were under and dealing with a nearly $15 million deficit. Morale was low. 6 of our board members were facing removal from the board by the governor of Georgia. But, you know, other than that, we were in pretty good shape. But young people, when the call is made, I encourage you to answer that call. Answer the call to leadership. Answer the call to serve. Answer the call to make a difference in your life and in the lives of others. Oftentimes, when you answer the call, you may not be fully appreciated. You might sometimes be misunderstood, but answer the call anyway. And you will be called to lead in a world that's very different from the world that I grew up in. You will be called to lead in a world that is diverse in all different kinds of ways. Racially, from a religious perspective, socioeconomically. And don't let past obstacles prevent you from building the relationships and the alliances you will need to be successful in the 21st century. I call it enlightened self-interest. And see, enlightened self-interest says, look, first I'm concerned about me, interested, yes, but enlightened self-interest will help you to be concerned about others. In the world where you will seek jobs, there will be accountants from China, there will be engineers from India, There will be mathematicians from North America, South America, from every corner of the world. Because a skilled, trained 21st century workforce will not be determined by color or creed, but only by qualification. Prepare yourself. Dream big. I was telling my senior management team that when I was growing up in rural Clark County, Georgia, I thought I was dreaming big. My biggest dream growing up when I was in the 7th and 8th grade was that one day we could move out of the sharecropper shack that I was growing up in without indoor running water, with a bathroom out back, we call it toilet. My greatest dream was that we could somehow figure out a way to get an apartment in the Athens Housing Authority. One day my brothers and sisters said, you got to dream bigger than this. And so I had to recalibrate my dreams. Then my next big dream was maybe somehow, some way I could just get a house somewhere that had an indoor bathroom. But you know God is good, isn't he? Because of an education, in the house I grew up in, there were 9 of us with no bathroom. I live in a house now with 3 people with 5 bathrooms. And when my wife and daughter are not there, you know what I do for entertainment? I just go through the house, flushing the commode. And just say, thank you, Jesus, you know, because God is good, right? So you have to count your blessing. See, not only must you count your blessing, but if you receive a blessing, you have to make your blessing count. See, there were young people smarter than you in your high school that will never see the inside of a high-level college or university that you attended. You know that there were young girls and young boys who were smarter than you, may have been more deserving than you. But through the blessings from above, you have been given this great opportunity. If you are like me, you have fathers and mothers who work in difficult situations, who earn small paychecks. But take those small paychecks and invest in tuition and books so that you can get an education today. Am I not true? You have grandmothers and grandfathers who are working and praying, recognizing that you are the fulfillment of a prayer that's been prayed for generations. There are people in this room like me who are the first in your family to have an opportunity to get a college degree. See, oftentimes when we receive things in life, we always say, well, my prayer has been answered. But you know what, folks? Oftentimes it's not your prayer. It's prayers that were prayed by great-great-grandparents. I call it time release. You know, you take some medicine and it doesn't really act immediately. It's 24 or 48 hours. What you all are benefiting from are time release prayers. Now, what do you do with it? You take full advantage of it. You don't give out. You don't give up, and you don't give in. When I went off to law school, and first time I got there, I got all my books, and that was when I realized there are no pictures in the books that you study in law school, you know. And that's a problem if you got books with no pictures. You know you're in a tough situation. Am I right, Mr. President? Who's an attorney? And I called my dad. I said, Dad, you know, it's tough over here at the University of South Carolina. This is studying law, and I don't think I can make it. And I'm thinking about just going home and coming back home. And you know, my father had a unique way of motivating myself and my brothers and sisters. He said, yeah. He said, I understand what you're saying, son. And he said, it is tough, and I don't blame you. He said, why don't you just come on back home? Because it's time for me to start planting the corn. And I need another hand. And I said, you know what, Dad? I think I'm going to tough it out just a little bit longer. Take full advantage of the opportunity. Develop friendships across the racial lines. I'm most distressed when I go into my high schools in DeKalb, and I see all the white kids at one table and all the black kids at another table and all the white kids sitting on this side. We're all bobcats. We are all bobcats. And more important, we are all Americans. United we will stand. United we must stand. Because when terrorists strike, as they struck in Kenya, and even when they strike here in America, if we just observe the anniversary of 9/11, think back. Y'all were probably in elementary school, most of y'all, but think back. On that morning, the terrorists who took control of the two planes that flew into the World Trade Center, they didn't go on the announcer and say that if you're a Republican, here's a parachute. They didn't say if you vote Democrat, you're going to get a free pass. They didn't call ahead to the World Trade Center towers and say all the black people need to leave. All the white folks should leave now. They had one mission, and they wanted to kill Americans. And they didn't care what color the American was. They didn't care what religion the American was. They had one focus. Think about our troops now still in Afghanistan and still in Iraq when those terrorists put the bombs out on the streets and the byways and they set them off. They don't make any exceptions for the soldiers who are Asian or Hispanic oriented. We must see ourselves, not by our differences, but by what we have in common. Abraham Lincoln said it best that a house divided against itself what? Cannot stand. And so this morning as we celebrate and observe this convocation, we sit and we stand as Bobcats, as Georgians, as Americans, united for a common cause and a common purpose. Finally this, have the courage to sometimes travel the path less taken. Don't allow your failures to dictate your future successes. I often tell, and Butch knows this, Austin introduced me as having served in the legislature, but he didn't really give you, because I didn't give it to him, the full explanation of my political career. I served in the legislature, but the first time I ran was not when I won. I first ran in 1986, and I worked hard. It's hard. I put out signs. I asked people to vote for me. The votes came in, young folks, and I lost. The key to success in life is not how you deal with success, but it's how you deal with what? Failure. So my parents always taught my brothers and sisters that if at first you don't succeed, you must do what? Try again. So I got up, Mr. Chancellor, and dusted myself off. Bought me a better blue suit and red tie, went back out campaign again 2 years later. And I worked twice as hard, my friend. I worked twice as hard. And the votes came in, and guess what? Nope, lost again. 2 campaigns, 2 defeats. My dream of serving under the Gold Dome in Atlanta seemed to be flittering away. But oftentimes when we are not succeeding, whether it's in class or in school, in the community, we often blame who? Someone else, and we never look internally at what our deficits or what mistakes we might be making. So I encourage you to always engage in constructive introspection. Well, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, what am I doing wrong? And I figured it out. Hadn't really figured it out before. Even though I was working hard and campaigning hard, I realized something. The district that I was running in was a 66% majority white district. But in those 2 previous campaigns, I had never left the comfort and familiarity of the African American community. I had only campaigned in African American churches, only campaigned in the African American community. And so after those 2 defeats, I had an epiphany. I was deep in debt. My dream was floating away. And I thought of something I had not thought of up until that point. I need to ask white people to vote for me too. It was brilliant. I hadn't thought of that. You remember, don't sometimes you have problems on campus and you say, okay, let's solve the problem, and then you call a meeting and the only people in the meeting are people who look just like you? I often tell my friends who want to improve the quality of public education, well, in DeKalb County, 20% of the student body is Hispanic and Latino. But if we're in a room where there are no Hispanic and Latino parents trying to solve education in DeKalb County, then we will never get there. So I went out all over Athens. I changed my mind. I said, I'm going to ask every person I meet to vote for me. And I had 2, Homewood Hills, all my Athens friends know. In my district was Homewood Hills. It was, at that time, one of the highest income communities in Athens. And so my sister and I, we got a plan. I said, I'm going door to door in Homewood Hills. I'm going to literally cross the railroad track, leave my neighborhood, and ask everybody to vote for me. Because my last election, I had lost by 12 votes. And I'm like, I know there's 13 white people vote for me somewhere. Somewhere. And so I overcame my own bias. We went out and I knocked on the door, and an elderly, well-dressed, smiling white lady came to the door. And my sister was there with me, and I handed her my brochure, and the lady was smiling, and I was smiling, my sister was smiling, and I'm like, I should have thought of this 2 campaigns ago. And she was smiling, then she read about my qualifications, and then all of a sudden, the smile turned to a frown. She flipped it over, and that was my picture. And the frown turned to a scowl. And she says, you all are wasting your time. She said, I'll never vote for one of them. They lie, they cheat, and they steal. And there's nothing you can ever say to get me to vote for one of those people. But my heart broke. Have you all ever been in a situation like that? My heart just broke. And I was saying to myself, this is it. I'll never, ever venture from the safety of my community ever again. And I turned and walked away. And so when I got back to the sidewalk, I turned to say something to my sister, but my sister was not at my side. She was still on the porch with the white lady. And she says, excuse me, ma'am. You hold up. Say, haven't you ever heard of the civil rights movement? Don't you know you can't judge my little brother simply by the color of his skin? And the lady said, honey, give me this brochure again. She read it. And she said, let me tell you something. I don't care what color he is. I'll never vote for a damn lawyer. Which the president is a lawyer. But 2 things. Well, first of all, some of us have multiple barriers, but 2 things. Oftentimes we don't reach out, we don't develop the friendships and the relationships and the partnership, not because what other people are thinking, it's because of what we think, right? They may be thinking. We don't join this organization, we don't introduce ourselves to our classmates, not because of what they are thinking, because of what we think they might be thinking. Never allow your fears and your inhibitions to overpower your hopes and your dreams and your ambition. The good Lord has made this world in a very unique way. The successes we seek in life are rarely found close by. You really want to be that teacher, that principal, that college president? You want to be the scientist, the doctor? You want to be the business owner? I submit to you, you're going to have to move from your comfort zone to reach out and find the opportunities that you need. But I'll leave you with this. And I call it my bold new vision for Georgia. And my friends, it is a vision of a Georgia that is coming true as I speak. I see it manifesting itself here at East Georgia State College. It is the vision of a Georgia, not separated by North Georgia and South Georgia, one Georgia. It is the vision of a Georgia not separated by rich or poor or black or white. It is the vision of a Georgia that when it comes to the education of the next generation of our citizens, we'll be smart enough not to separate ourselves, not even between Republicans and Democrats. I am convinced beyond all reasonable doubt that if you and I will continue to work together, if you and I will continue to pray together, if you and I will say an ecumenical prayer together, we can build, we will build one great Georgia for one great people, not by race or class, but by content of character. This is my hope. This is my faith, and it continues to be my unending prayer. One Georgia, one Swainsboro, one Emmanuel County, one Georgia, one America that is as you pledged that it will be. Well, under God, one America that is indivisible, one America that will offer liberty, justice, and educational opportunity for all. Thank you.
We have a few minutes left for some questions. Can we turn up the house lights a little bit? And please move toward the microphones. We have a couple of moderators. Raise your hands, moderators. So if you do have some questions, please approach the microphone and ask your question.
We won't grade you, so you can ask a question. No grade.
Do we have questions? Oh, here we have one.
Considering you were a sharecropper's son, what kind of support system did you have from your family going through all that you did go through as a child? And what would you say to those of us who don't have that support system to continue pursuing our education and even going further in college?
Oh, great question. Give her a hand. That's a great question. Love it. My father and mother, and that was the blessing. And one of the things you must always do is when you're moving, when you're in your life, first evaluate and document your assets. We often look first at our what? Problems. What we don't have. What I had was two loving parents. One was a sharecropper who could not read or write, but had a great love for education. Let me tell you what he taught me, some of the things I think about him now. And he would always say, I grew up in Sandy Creek, which is now a nature center. That's where I grew up. It was Sandy Creek, dirt road. And he would always say, it's not where you come from, but it's where you're going that matters. Oftentimes, young people, we can be born in some very difficult circumstances, but that's not what's important. It's not where you come from, but it's where you're going. And it was the old dirt road that ran out in front of our house. And one day he told me, he said, son, that's a magic road. And I said, Daddy, that's a dirt road. And when it rains, it's a what? Very muddy road. But he said, you know what? If you get on that road with faith and a belief in hard work, that old dirt road will take you wherever you want to go in life. So wherever you are born, wherever you live, you look out on the street or the road, and I promise you, with faith and hard work, determination, it will take you wherever you want to go in life. And so just having that belief, and there are people on faculty and on this administration who will help you. Am I right? But oftentimes we don't reach out. You need to, and we're afraid to share our vulnerabilities. But the people, the faculty members and the PhDs and the master's degrees, they will tell you the road that led them here was not easy. but they can give you insight. So that's the point. Just keep the faith. And look, say thank you. It's 3 words. I guarantee you, if you use them, it'll almost guarantee success for you in anything you do. Please. Thank you. Well, bye. Excuse me. When people help you, always go back and say what? Thank you. Anything else? I want to hear from one of the basketball players. Oh, yes, ma'am. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Harina Cassetti, and I was born and raised in DeKalb County also, so I know exactly what you were talking about with that whole situation with the school board and stuff. But my question is, what's the biggest challenge in college students today, and why we can't focus, and like, what do you feel like is the reason why students flunk out?
It's challenging. You have many more distractions than I had and that we had growing up. It's just fair. Is that right, Mr. Chancellor? Listen, when I was growing up, a webmaster was 5 years. And concentrate on understand the value of this opportunity. I mean, commit yourself to it. 4 years of college seems like, or 2 years seems like a long time. It's not. Make the sacrifices necessary for you to be successful. And it's going to have a huge impact on your life as well as the life of the husband, wife, and children, and grandchildren. Every moment you can stay on this campus and breathe this air and gain this experience is going to pay huge dividends. And look, don't doubt the power of East Georgia State College. It's a launching pad for your dreams and your hopes and your ambitions. Take every advantage of it. And I'm one of the folks who don't believe that America's doomed because young people just don't get it. You know, one thing being at the DeKalb County taught me, we got some extremely bright and talented young people in this state and at this time. Don't let the negativity convince you that you are very special, very talented, and can accomplish anything you want. Fair enough? Is that good? So you were in DeKalb? What did you say? I didn't hear that part.
What was your question?
You said you were familiar with DeKalb or you
Yeah.
worked?
Well, I was in, Raydan Road, like Indian Creek.
Yep.
That's where I'm from.
And by the way, we're doing great things in DeKalb. DeKalb is on its way to becoming a national model in terms of an urban school district. We've eliminated the deficit. The accrediting agency gave us straight A's at the midterm review, right? And we are moving in a very, very positive direction. So any of you all who desire or will be pursuing a degree in education and looking for a great place to come work in a couple of 2 or 3 years, DeKalb County, Georgia is the place.
Yes.
Tell them you know the superintendent if you're looking for a job.
I got you.
Yes, sir.
I'm keeping it busy here.
I'm looking at basketball player. My name is Deion Craig.
All right, Mr. Craig. There you go, Mike.
I was wondering, what can you give advice for us as basketball players, not to be looked at just as basketball players? I know we had a lot of successes last year, but I feel as this year that success is blinding people to let us know we're more than basketball players. We're students. We get good grades. We're a part of organizations like AAMI, and we're trying to be more than basketball players. So what advice can you give us?
Oh, God, he just did it. Give him a hand. I mean, he answer that question. Excellent. No, and speak truth to power. And see, the thing about athletics, I know it doesn't look like it when I tell you this, but I played high school football. Players weren't as big then as they are now, right? And I was telling someone the value of athletics, if you make it to the NBA or the NFL, great. But it's the discipline, it's the teamwork, it's respect for authority, it's delayed gratification, it's understanding how to overcome failure. You're not going to win every game and you won't score 30 points every night out. Those are the things that have the biggest impact on you being a successful person. And it's incumbent upon you all to do just what your star player just said. Don't get into the stereotypes and the biases about basketball players or about anyone, whether it's sexual orientation or anything. View and judge people based on who they are as individuals and not subjective criteria. Fair enough? And thank you for that question. Yes, sir.
I'm a childhood friend of Dr. Bomer. I like to call him Bob. And I just wanted to focus on a word that he used as he introduced the chancellor, and that was integrity. I can tell you, you have the genuine product in terms of integrity. Throughout his life, Bob has shown that. And I just wanted to ask you, to what role does integrity play as you advance through life and through your career and through your relationships?
Thank you so much. And matter of fact, the president mentioned that you were here, and he is so proud that one of his lifelong friends have come to help him celebrate this very special moment. Let's give him a hand. Came from Orange. He mentioned that. Thank you so much. That means so much to him. Integrity, and I want the chancellor to come up and help to answer this question, because he epitomizes what I believe integrity, particularly in the public sector, is all about. And young people, let me tell you really what integrity is. It's not what's going on when the cameras are rolling. Integrity takes hold and is most significant when you are alone, when you have to make decisions that only you are aware of it at that moment, and then you determine to do the right thing. Even if it doesn't necessarily benefit you at the moment, don't take the shortcuts. I often say to folk, I think I could be further along in my career if I had taken some of the things that were offered along the way. But at the end of the day, win, lose, or draw, what you really want the morning after the election is you want to be able to look and see and look at the person that's in the mirror and not be embarrassed by what you see. That's the important thing. Mr. Chancellor, if you come help me with that.
Thank you, Michael. I can remember vividly in my mind's eye in the 7th grade. We had 3 7th grade teachers in that school. And there were 2 that everybody wanted to get. And there was one that you didn't want to get. Well, that's the one I got. But I remember when you talk about integrity, and she said in the very first day, he said, you're going to have a great year in this class, you're going to be successful, you're going to be happy. And she went to the board, and this was the days where you had student handbooks and all that sort of stuff. And she wrote 2 words. Those words were do right. Now, given the kind of family I came from, not an educated family, I was the first to go to college, but they, as in Michael's case, established a groundwork of values, what was acceptable and what was not. And I remember that lesson. You know, she was right. Every time that I haven't done right, I've messed up. I've made a mistake. And she didn't have to go into a long explanation what doing right was. I knew intuitively what it meant to do right. I'll close with this. 2 years ago, I heard one of the best speeches I've heard in a long, long time at a leadership conference in Columbus, and it was by Condoleezza Rice. And she was talking about leadership, and she made the point that to be a good leader, a successful leader, the kind of leader that you would want to emulate, it starts with one word, and that's integrity. Everything else flows from that. And she also made one other point that sticks with me every day, that whether you're a leader or whatever group you're in, that if you're with a company of people who are always agreeing with everything you say, then you need to find other company, because that will not lead you to what you need to do, what you need to do as a leader, what you need to do as a parent, whatever. So I tell you, Every time I hear Michael speak, I don't know how to explain it, Michael, but you know, I had to overcome. We weren't rich, we weren't working class family, but I never had to overcome what Michael overcame, and he's a testimony to what everyone in this room can do. And the folks here at East Georgia State College are here to help you do that. And we celebrate your being here, and more importantly, in a few years, we're going to celebrate your going out, whether you finish with a 2-year degree here or whether you transfer to some other institution. Michael is absolutely right. It starts here, and it's up to you as to what the next step you will take. And we're here to help you, we're here to encourage you, and we're excited about your success because that's the business we're in. One of the themes that I constantly espouse throughout the university system to our faculty and our administrators, we are about students. And what we do every day should be about helping you be successful. But we need you to walk with us to that end. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Mr. Thurman, to Chancellor Huckabee. I'd also like to thank the faculty, the staff, the students, and all the many guests who have joined us today for Convocation. There will be some refreshments served out in the rotunda. The weather didn't cooperate with us too much today. But what I would like to also say is I hope that you take some of the things that you've heard today from our guests, our speakers, and reflect on them during Convocation and beyond. And I just also want to conclude by saying we're so glad you're here with us today. Please go and enjoy the rest of your day with us today here at East Georgia State College. Thank you.
Good job, Austin.
Great.
Excellent.
Oh, was it good?
Very good.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.